This episode is sponsored by Bluehost. You're an ideas person, and when inspiration strikes, it strikes fast. Shouldn't your web hosting keep up? When shared hosting isn't enough, Bluehost's advanced solutions scale with your website, business, and your ideas, no matter how bold. With NVMe storage, built-in security, and enhanced CPU power, sites load faster and handle more data than ever before. Bluehost's advanced hosting keeps you online and growing. So go ahead, keep those ideas flowing. Shop plans now at bluehost.com.
Most people never think about what happens between clicking a link and page actually loading. The caching, the edge nodes, the thousands of miles a request quietly travels before anything appears on screen. But that invisible layer, the CDN, the edge, the delivery network, is what decides whether the modern web feels instant or broken. And behind every one of those platforms is something even less invisible: the partnerships that connect them to the hosts, agencies, and tools people actually use every day. You're listening to WP Legends, where we bring the builders, operators, and ecosystem leaders to the mic. I'm Gautam Khurana, host of the show. Today, I'm joined by Graeme Inglis, partnership manager at Bunny.net, one of the fastest, most developer-loved content delivery and edge platforms in the world. Graeme sits right at the connective tissue of the industry. Over more than 4 years at Bunny.net, he's grown from business development into leading strategic partnerships across cloud, streaming, and hosting. The relationship that quietly decide how technology reaches millions of sites. Before that, he cut his teeth in channel and global alliance marketing at Vin Magic. He's also a Canadian expat now based in Europe, operating across borders, markets, and time zones, which gives him a genuinely global view of how the web is built and delivered. So today, we're going to talk about the edge, content delivery, why performance is really a partnerships problem, how ecosystems grow, and what most companies get wrong about building relationships that last. Graeme, welcome to WP Legends.
Hey man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's an awesome opportunity and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Honestly speaking, like before the podcast, you were mentioning like, hey, I'm in my office today. So tell me about that office first. What is your office? What's Bunny's office in Europe about?
So, I mean, Bunny's home office is located in Ljubljana, Slovenia. So a little company on the country just south of Hungary and Austria, just north of Croatia, depending on where you are. And so it's right kind of in that mix of what would be that southern central Europe, which is an amazing place to go to. It's not on the, what I would say would be typical North American or outside of Europe tourist hotspot, but would recommend. But in terms of office, yeah, it's our home. That said, we're a remote first company, so we've got folks all over the world like myself. Home for me right now is just a small city on the Austrian-German border. So that's kind of home for me at the moment. But we've got folks everywhere from, LATAM all the way through to Australia going the other way. Yeah.
Of course. So tell me, what's your story? You started at Vin Magic and then you got into Bunny and you got into sales. Tell me your story.
Yeah, it's a long one to kind of sum up, but to give the gist of it, I've always wanted to work in an international setting. I want to go around the world. It is kind of cheesy a little bit, but I was always inspired by Anthony Bourdain and his show on CNN, for example. I grew up watching that as a kid, and it told me that the world was so much smaller than it used to be, but so much bigger in terms of the concrete human experience that's available out there, right? So for me, getting the opportunity to work in a setting where I get to talk to people from all over the world on a regular basis kind of pushed me in a direction of wanting to do and study international business. And that led into effectively what is the internet, because it connects us all on a day-to-day basis.
That's good. And tell me, in your words, you're at Bunny.net and it's a CDN company. For people who don't understand CDN a lot, or those who are still understanding CDN, and people who are hearing CDN for the very first time, how would you explain what Bunny.net does?
Bunny.net, it's effectively what I would call it would be internet plumbing, the way I look at it, right? It's the behind the scenes stuff that makes the internet work in terms of your day-to-day experience for a lot of people around the world. So whether that's security, whether that's performance, it's effectively making sure things stay up and you're able to access it, and then to be able to have a good experience while accessing the internet for a day-to-day user.
Got it. And who do you work closely with? Is it mostly with hosting companies or agencies using Bunny.net? Who are your customers?
I'd say, I mean, the beauty of a content delivery network is there's an argument, at least, that everybody in some way, shape, or form needs a CDN for a website, web application, stream, regardless of what that looks like. So in this case, we touch a little bit of everything, whether it be cloud, whether it be enterprise SaaS apps, all the way through to your basic WordPress websites, right? Your blogs, your mom and pop local SMB style instances. We also have we also do a lot of streaming, for example, and deliver content for everything from video based internet platforms to broadcasters around the world. So it's quite versatile. I think we have like 100K customers paying us now on a regular basis, which is a pretty big number for us. At least when I first started 4 years ago, we had maybe 25, 30 maximum at that point. So we've definitely been growing a lot. But what it means is every day is different. So you can work with an virtually endless group of customers.
Got it. And with the age of AI and the likes of companies like Vercel, Netlify, also growing at an exponential pace, etc. Is it also affecting Bunny.net's growth positively even more? What do you say?
Yeah, I would say so. It's interesting you mentioned Vercel and Netlify in particular, because they are developer focused platforms, right?
Yep.
I think what edge computing as a whole, particularly, I mean, edge computing's been around for forever, so I won't go down a rabbit hole, but there's been telcos talking about edge computing for close to 10, 15 years now at this point. But in terms of what I would say would be for the general purpose individual developer audience, edge computing's picked up over the last little while. And so what that means is folks can build new things relatively easily without having to work with a, hyperscaler provider, for example, in order to launch an app. It's now available at a fingertip, and it's super, super performant for a fraction of the price, which just allows for more stuff to get built. And if more stuff can be built, there's more stuff on the internet for folks to access, and that means more internet traffic as a whole. Now, what that traffic happens to be is a bit of a different question with the rise of AI, but at least it means that there's more content for folks to engage with, which in a world where, attention spans are shrinking, let's put it this way. It definitely means there's a lot more stuff for people to engage with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. I didn't even know, anything to do with Edge, Postgres, Netlify, Vercel till the time I started building out headless stuff on my own. I've been bringing this topic up a lot on my podcast recently because it's truly incredible. What we can do, with AI is incredible, especially if if you don't have a coding background, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, even for myself, I'm not a developer at all, to say the least. I just work with devs on a day-to-day basis, and they teach me something every day, which is awesome. But to be able for myself to go into Claude and build up effectively what will be a mock-up for what will become our partner portal here at Bunny long term is amazing, and I would never have the ability to do that. And it can unlock capacities for us as a business that we would never have been able to do. But that's just one minor thing that you can do with AI. But if you look at the edge as a whole, you even have to define what do you mean by the edge, right? Because I work with certain companies that to them, the edge could be deploying a server in the back of a truck that is used for, military operations, right? That's the edge for them. The edge for the internet in terms of WordPress, traditional environments, CMS, all of that, typically is more a distributed group of servers. So I'd say the opportunities are effectively endless once you start looking at when I can move a compute layer out of a traditional DC and it effectively on the go wherever it happens 100%. To be at any point.
Literally, Edge is having a moment. Truly is having a moment.
Yeah.
I didn't even know exactly what it meant. Like till the time I literally started shipping out stuff on my own using Superbase, Sanity, Directors, you name it. Like all these CMSs popping up left, right, and center. WordPress is also having a great moment in general because it's improving a lot. And with Claude native integration with MCP, etc., like it's super duper easy. I think agencies and especially Figma developers. I was having a conversation with somebody who's in the UI world. He's like, I'm having the time of my life because I could only do designs. Now I can actually build it out.
I can do, exactly. I can do everything myself. It's an amazing aspect. You mentioned building could you give an example of something that you've built yourself in terms of like an end-to-end app?
Oh my God, you're putting me on the spot, but I'm proud to say that I recently launched hostlist.io. Okay.
Okay.
host list.
Yeah.
As the name suggests, it's a hosting index, it's a hosting directory built by me, all on my own. Okay. And I used Next.js, and right now on one of the premium hosting platforms, which I will not name for certain reasons. But yes, heavily using Supabase, for example, and my skill set is SEO, search engine optimization, a lot, and I love it. That's the reason I got into the business myself. And what can I say? I'm like a dreamer and an imagination guy. So I just wanted to bring this to life. And proud to say it's like 28,000 companies, and every day, there's a lot of magic going under the hood, and people are claiming their profiles, and the ranking is growing because it's authentic.
Oh, that's awesome.
And this is the
Congratulations. Yeah.
thank you. And I will proudly say it's the only hosting directory which does not have any affiliate related partnerships which go on the top. The ranking algorithm is built
Yep.
by me, refined by me over the past few months, and it just does cron jobs and stuff like that and updates every day, every hour, every minute, and I have no say on it. I'm saying this publicly also, and I've sent this on the page as well, so you can have a look after the podcast. So yeah, that's one product I'm very, very proud of, and there are a lot of things behind it.
I think you said something that's really critical in that statement, and it's the dreamer / imaginary piece, right? Maybe I'm not using the exact word for word, but the point is an entire group of people that didn't have the capability to either develop, execute, or deploy on their own now have that at their fingertips. And so that means, what's available. Traditionally, if you look at, old school coding, you have best practice, you have approach to be able to deploy stuff. Naturally, that is going to go ahead and work its way in over to AI in order to make sure that code meets a certain level of quality. But when you're looking at what's in theory possible from a independent perspective, if you can imagine it, you can effectively find a way to now go ahead and deploy it. And for the average user, when it comes to the internet, I think is key to being able to do what they want to do. And that's why WordPress is so popular, right? At the end of the day, it's the ultimate level of flexibility that it gives to the end user. That level is now finally working its way over to actual code development, deployment, application creation, and so on. And so that really, what is and I think the conversation now needs to be more is what is WordPress in the context of this new ability to deploy the same way that what made WordPress unique? How will WordPress adapt, and how will WordPress find its way to translate that magic that that is offered to the entire WordPress community as a whole into this kind of new generation that needs to come along and be supported by this? I don't think there's any key answer. I think you've asked this probably like 100 times to other guests on the podcast, and every single answer is different. We shall see. It's what everybody was talking about at WordCamp. But I think looking at that question and looking at it as an opportunity rather than a problem is probably the right way to go about it. Because a lot of people are scared, right? Yeah. I'm sure you do.
I have a lot of thoughts about it. People are scared though. Sorry, I cut you off. But yes, people are definitely scared about it. They shouldn't be. Come on, listen. Even if I see WordPress is not going to go anywhere, because 40% of the internet. Listen, have landlines and cordless phones gone anywhere? They still exist, right? I'm not saying WordPress is like that. It's evolving a lot. I think it's an exceptional platform, exceptional CMS for somebody who's on a budget, especially if somebody has to build 20-page website going up to 50 or 100 pages. Don't think twice. It's super easy. The problem is people don't invest in good managed WordPress hosting.
Yes, you are right. You are right to an extent there. And I think it's something that I've been thinking about for a little while. But how does WordPress transition into a way that WordPress becomes the fundamental foundation for what folks are building on, right? Because like you said, Next.js, you can skip to a bunch of different CMSs that are all AI friendly today, but moving WordPress into a stage where it becomes a building block and a foundation item for which folks can use to launch their own apps and code, then it will, I think, survive and transition into a new role.
Should I make something very clear? People think that just because of AI and because you can use Cloud Code, Cursor, etc. Listen, I have these puffy eyes. I'm sleeping 4 or 5 hours a day, not because I have a toddler at home, but also because
not at all.
really need to invest a lot of time, lot of brain cycle, and a massive amount of critical thinking is required. Not any and every dev or person can use Cloud Code and just ship things out. I have spoken with so many agencies who don't even know how to get started with Cloud Code. or cursor or anything like that. Okay, believe
I
it or
mean,
not, it's true.
yeah, it's the hard part. Honestly, like anything, I actually have a tattoo. I can't show it on the podcast, of course, but it's German and it translates to every beginning is difficult, right? So that's exactly what it is. It's more of a, I'm not sure what this means for me, so I'm going to slightly react, likely out of fear or at least anxiety, and then pause before execution, rather than view it as an opportunity to do something different that I've never done before, right? So if you look at it that way, just from a pure philosophical point of view, you can look at a technology and be able to adapt it to your business. Now, who do I think that's going to adopt it better than others? Of course, it's probably going to be the larger agencies, larger hosting providers, for example, that have business process built up into their ecosystem in order to better adapt and deal with technology change management. Insert MBA here, word here. But it's true because those processes are in place. But it doesn't have to be that way, right? And so if folks are willing to at least make a little bit of a plunge, or take a little bit of a leap of faith, at least into a slightly new world, they can adapt parts of the old world and bring WordPress along with it into the AI generation, if you want to phrase it that way.
Yeah, on this front, because we're discussing so much about WordPress, I have to share something on the screen, okay? And I was trying to find an article, and I'm glad that Bunny's there, okay? Okay, do you see this? WP Maintain?
Yep.
So WP Maintain is something very recent, okay, which is a part of Seahawk Media, okay, and it's like a managed WP competitor in simple words. Agencies and hosts. It's built for agencies and hosts. First, what it does is you can manage 1 or 2 or 1,000 or 10,000 WordPress websites. The one thing which is very cool, and I'm just going to try go down, obviously security, performance, SEO, etc. But look at this, Bunny.
Hey, yes, we've made it on the list. That's amazing.
This is something very unique with our platform, WP Maintain. I'm advertising WP Maintain here now, okay? With our platform, you can bring in your own API. You can bring in your own CDNs. That's the cool part.
Yeah. Hey, that's awesome.
Yes. This is the power of AI. Of course, this platform is not only built with AI because it includes WordPress, and a lot of devs, a lot of human computing has been used. But I'm really proud. You were asking me, what are you proud of? Like, this is something I'm super duper proud of. And this website actually is on WordPress, and you can see how clean it is, and it's a lot going under the hood. But I just wanted to bring this up on the screen and show you that I think is a great opportunity for everybody who's using AI effectively. That's what I was alluding to. And quickly, I will show you this as well. This is host list. This is what you can see after the podcast. This is I've not even posted on LinkedIn right now about it, right? But yeah, it's pretty cool. I've got like 25,000 plus hosts all there, and you can see this ranking algorithm. It just changes every day. The score there is automatic. I have no control on it ever, and you will see some very new and cool names here. So yeah, I'm very excited about the age of AI. But I'm glad that my team, because
I mean, we can see it for sure.
Yeah. And I was discussing CDNs a second. That's why I got my, partnership manager, like, listen, get somebody from Bunny CDN. I want to discuss about CDN, etc. So I think in the age of AI, companies like Bunny are only going to see explosive growth. That's what I was coming back to. Okay. No matter what, whether it's partnerships, whether it's direct integrations, whether it's direct customers, you guys are going to have the time of your life in the next several years, for the next several years.
I think we're positioned well. And you are right. I mean, in the summary, we went down a little bit of a rabbit hole there, and I'm notorious for this, by the way. So if you need to bring me back to focus on particular topic, just let me know. But you are right. For us, the opportunity is plentiful. Let's put it this way: to be able to look at what can we do with the edge, whether it's application hosting itself, whether it's something like even hosting a WordPress website at the edge. This is something that's available that wouldn't be a traditional use case for a CDN or edge from a performance perspective. I look at it as it gives developers a little bit more of a toolbox to do things that they want to do. And that's ultimately where Bunny is going as a whole, as an org. We're looking more and more at, we've got this amazing global network. We've built it up. We've optimized literally every aspect that we possibly can out of it from a performance standpoint. What else can we do now that we have this network built? What types of value can we bring to customers? And cache it and static and deliver it very, very well as our core bread and butter from a performance standpoint. It's not the end game. For us, we want to be an edge platform, like a Vercel, like a Netlify style experience. I wouldn't go as far as to say that we'll become a full scale level host in that way, but what we want to do is provide value in terms of what can we do from a developer experience point of view, what can we do from a security point of view. That's what we're heavily focused on right now, is really rounding out the security
And
offering that we
partnerships.
released. And partnerships, of course.
Yeah.
Partnerships is a background to that, right? So the way I look at partnerships, partnerships are a tool that you can use as a company to be able to grow and accomplish specific objectives that you set out. Partnerships are part of the process, but they're never the be all end all. It's part of the motivation tool that you use to actually execute and accomplish the goals that you set. It's a little bit like a multiplier effect, right? They take time and effort, and partnerships are notoriously difficult. But if you get them right, the benefits can be extreme.
What is right for you?
That's a good question. Right, in my case, is in terms of an actual core partnership itself, there's two layers to it. There's what matters for your organization as a whole, but more importantly, what matters most to the mutual objective that the two companies are setting out to accomplish together, right? So at the end of the day, you have to be aligned in that goal. So for as long as both parties identify from the start, this is what we want us to accomplish together, this is what we envision and what we can build, then you look at it, then you can succeed. But if you are going to have your own kind of behind the scenes agenda, then it isn't necessarily going to get the, how do I put this, be as fruitful as an experience for everybody involved. So when we look at partnerships at Bunny, we look at it a few ways, but ultimately it's how do I provide as much value to an end customer? So if I narrow into our hosting partnerships, for example, it's all about working with the host to deliver as much value to the end website consumer from a B2B to C style model, where the priority isn't necessarily on Bunny's end goal, on the host's end goal, but what matters most for that end customer. And if you accomplish that, you can allow them, everybody in the chain can then build the best possible product, best possible offering, and all the other goals fall into place by focusing heavily on that North Star. It's a lot of corporate lingo, but effectively, it allows you to really execute 2 or 3 years in advance of what you want to accomplish, but you have to put the work in now, or else that is going to keep moving, and that goalpost keeps going, right? Yeah.
100% with you on this. So let me understand. You work across cloud partnerships, hosting partnerships. What else? Streaming? What about streaming? Streaming is massive, right?
Streaming.
Explain to me.
Streaming is
I don't
massive.
understand it too much. I don't understand it too much. But
Yeah.
explain it to me.
So streaming, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, if we look at internet content, right, we are caching content and delivering it. What makes up a good portion in terms of raw data size, in terms of like pure number of terabytes that are pushed through a network at any given standpoint? The largest portion of any particular type of content is going to be video, and then followed by that is software downloads. So for us, for a while, in terms of a business, when your primary monetization model is through the maximum throughput of content on your network, you have to be in video, right? You have to be delivering and streaming. So streaming was an area that we performed really, really well, and still do for a variety of use cases. Not just internet streaming, but also broadcasting, for example. So reasons why I have my own eye bags today. I was up quite late last night running a little bit of a support war room for one of our larger partners for the Spain and Portugal game for the World Cup and a number of countries in Latin America. So it's a focus for us for sure.
Interesting. But, where I stay, there's a pub literally like, I don't know, 25 feet away, literally. And nowadays, because England is allowing late night rules, is the screaming and shouting till like 5 in the morning. So, and England and football is insanity here, So
of course. I mean, I've
podcast about it, football.
Absolutely. I mean, get me started on it. That's part of the reason why I actually wanted to get involved in CDN in particular, because CDN is so critical in the sports media delivery. I was a big sports fan and still am. Love basketball, love hockey, love football, or foosball, as we say in Germany. I don't say soccer like we do back home in Canada. That's one of the things that I dropped when I moved away.
Of course. Mm.
But I mean, in short, it allowed me to get into my field of expertise. Let's be real, I was never going to be able to play pro by any means, but I
Mm.
wanted to be involved. And one of the ways you can get involved was media tech, right? So that's how I kind of worked my way and decided when I saw an opportunity to come up at a CDN, I want to apply there because that's my route to kind of getting into that world. Now,
Mm.
since I've done that, I've obviously discovered a lot beyond that in terms of the internet, whether it be internet security, enterprise cloud, WordPress community as a whole has been a hidden gem for me that I've discovered over the last 3 years and 4 years. And for me, it's been a huge focus point. And it's one of the things that I absolutely love about my job is getting to work with WordPress. But to answer your question on streaming, yes, it's a massive element to what we do here at Bunny,
Yeah,
but it's becoming less and less and less on a regular basis as we pivot more and more and more to more diverse use cases.
of course. Absolutely. Now I have a spicy, fun question for you. Okay. Bunny.net,
Oh,
and
I
I did
like
my
it.
research also on this. Okay. Is known for very strong performance at a fraction of the usual cost. Okay. Now, how do you talk about price and performance without it becoming a race to the bottom? Let me ask you this question.
Well, I mean, I'd say for a race to the bottom, I mean, you're looking at value delivery for the end customer, right? What are they getting out
Mm.
of the box when it comes to a subscription? Let's look at it
Mm.
this way. Yeah, I know
Mm.
our traditional pricing model is pay as you go consumption, built for developers because folks like to know that I've used X amount of resource, so I get that fee effectively at the end of the month. That's our self-serve business model, and that's how we support 80% of our customer base here at Buddy. Without getting into the pricing wars, let's put it this way. It's all about what comes with that consumption model. So we're looking at things like support, developer experience, all of the added value pieces that sit around the CDN. I will
Mm.
be honest and transparent and say, I mean, CDNs have been around for like 20 years, right? At this point, at least, if not longer. The core concept of taking a couple of servers and slapping them together so that they can provide a caching function with an Nginx layer or something similar to it from from a non-optimized perspective is something that folks can do, and that's why folks do build their own CDNs, right? The hard part is getting the optimization layer down, and that's where you start adding value in terms of things like performance, but also what sits around that from an API perspective. We pride ourselves on having one of the most easy to work with APIs available in the market to be able
Mm.
to be a developer tool that you can actually do things with, right? So it's rather than look at the actual performance and network consumption itself, it's what are you adding around the box to create value for that customer and give an overall positive customer experience. That's how CDN steps away from being an infrastructure conversation into a productization conversation because you're looking more about what can that customer actually set out to accomplish rather
Mm.
than here's resource for you to be able to consume.
Yeah, yeah. It's I think I totally understand that. And I believe that with the AI it's only gonna you're gonna have like crazy opportunities with this. I think so. And AI changing
Yeah,
traffic patterns also, right?
it is. It is. Yeah. I mean, Cloudflare's founder, Matthew Prince, went out on a podcast recently and did say that I think his bet was it was going to be 2028 or 2029. I can't remember
Mm.
on when you would see the shift from human generated traffic to bot traffic flipping to be bot primary and human
I
secondary.
think it's
And we've
already
actually seen
hasn't
it.
it already happened? Hasn't it already happened?
Yeah, exactly right. So he was 2 or 3 years behind with his prediction, but the point is, at least in North America right now, you're seeing the flip side of that. We just released
Yeah.
a report at Bunny about our new security offering and what we've learned from, I think it was like 50 billion requests over the span of 3-4 months earlier this year. And if you look at the majority of when security action was triggered, the numbers are all pointing in that direction of it's all bot generated traffic, whether it's access lists that are firing, whether it's bot mitigation tools that are stepping into place to actually stop crawlers. Um, Majority of the traffic is now not human anymore,
It
right?
tells
It's
you
all
the
going to be.
yeah, and but Netlify and Vercel, they both. So by the way, I have like a lot of things shipping out, and I'm testing with both equally, Netlify and Vercel, and it's related to what I'm about to say and what you were just about to say. Okay, they
Yeah,
tell you where the traffic is coming from, the bot traffic. Okay, but they don't tell you that it's going to spike up the bills like crazy. It starts out at $10, then $20, and some one day you wake up and there's a bill of $300. If you don't monitor it for 1 week and you don't have a spend limit assigned, in 1 week you can rack up a bill of even $1,000 or $2,000. And this happened to me. Okay. And I fought with one of these two companies. I won't name who.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you guys are watching my show, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. For a $5,000 bill for 1 month because of bot related traffic, which, which raised a spike for CDN bills. Okay. Now it's your responsibility. You're the coder, you're the developer, that's what they will say. But I don't know where the moral responsibility lies here. With who?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
This product, final thing before you say anything, this product which I'm talking about, the bill went so high because of a Chinese bot farm. Let me just say that. That's how ultimately it was caught, but by me only. Nobody helped me out. Anyways, I'll stop there.
Interesting experience. And I mean, that is the traditional cloud provider model when it comes to resource provisioning. At the end of the day, it's if you consume it, you pay for it, right?
Yeah.
I think then it's a little bit of both parties need to be involved, but the organizations do need to provide some way and some management layer. Now, VCs will tell you want to provide as little as possible. Tech founders that want to give the best customer experience will tell you it's the other way around. You want to provide as many tools as possible to prevent that from happening. For us as a CDN standpoint, yes, we see traffic through the network, but if we look at how, for example, our Shield function is built, so if you are a subscriber to Bunny Shield and you're implementing our bot security, and the overall requests that we measure and what we bill for will only be on clean requests. So this is typically our approach. And then what I agree is if we're going to take action to block it, we shouldn't charge you for the request that we're actively stepping in and blocking because you're already paying us for the security service, right? If you're not paying us for the security service and then you are going to get additional traffic to your site, there's no way for us to tell what's what, right? But if we are putting that measurement in place, then absolutely customers should not be billed for requests that they're already effectively paying for you to stop.
Yeah.
At least that's what
Yeah.
Or that's how I want to, approach it. There are some edge cases involved in certain situations, right? But I mean, when we had a customer, I think it was a January timeframe, 16.5 million requests per second, I think was the peak. That customer didn't pay a dime beyond what they have in their security package, right? So as long as you position it that way, you're providing a lot of value to that end customer for the service that they're subscribing to. Ultimately, we might actually lose money on that customer, but it's all about doing right by them.
All I know is I've had not pleasant experience with either Vercel or Netlify when it comes to support. It's because they're growing so exponentially. And I believe that because Claude, ChatGPT are just recommending them when it comes to shipping out headless stuff. I think so. Okay. Everybody is just recommending that. And they're having like massive growth. Okay. And they just cannot respond to support tickets on time unless you are an enterprise customer. Okay. Now, the problem with that is like, even my problem, the challenge which I face, it was literally a one-click solution. Okay. The support team got back to me after 2-3 weeks, but they never came to that simple thing. I had to discover on my own and spend $5,000 as a learning curve for this. Okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's okay. I call it education. It's okay. You learned a lot, and because I'm just starting out, doing this and shipping things out and experimenting with this. So no regrets there. But the problem is, how many customers all over the world must be facing similar situations. And I saw Reddit also. It's incredible. It's nonstop. So I really hope, in the grand scheme of things, to make the web a more beautiful place, which I was alluding to, Bunny Shield and other stuff, people start paying more attention to that. Or send a message, listen, Chinese bot firm will rack up your bill $100 a day. Sort this shit out. How difficult is
exactly. Yeah, you aren't wrong. And I mean, the hard part is predicting what those bot farms are actually going to be and look like, right? Because the attack vectors are endless. Yeah.
And I pay for that extra observability and, speed, etc. Whatever they're asking me to do. They can just send me a message, red line, like WordPress world has a similar problem also. WordPress also has a massive issue with SMTP and deliverability. People don't get their leads, contact forms. People don't know what SMTP is because, so
of course,
so it's endless. It's speed, rocket.net, like WP Rocket, is like the perfect example to speed up a website. Beautiful company who have a partnership with you also, right? WP Rocket.
Yep. Their Rocket CDN is Bunny under the hood. They've done a really good job, I have to say. Probably one or two of the most successful CDN-as-a-Service subscription models, which is beautiful for WordPress because
clean,
majority of exactly. People in WordPress typically don't want to know or don't need to have the time to go into, okay, I need to point my DNS here. I need to configure SSL. I need to take care of all this stuff. I just want to subscribe. $9 a month. My website goes significantly faster, and it's one click and set it and forget it, right? So that's an amazing model that they've built. Sorry, I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but shout out to one
it's
of
all
our
related to
long-term
this.
partners here at Bunny. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I know Agath from the VP of Marketing has been on my show, by the way. Do you know Agath?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And she sent me. I was just looking through it. Like, she sent me a message the other day. I think they're launching MCP support for WP Rocket, which is incredible. Huge. Like, kudos to the team that they're doing that. I love any company and every company who's just bringing everything into Claude. I'm so happy about it. What would you say? For me,
I mean,
HRF SEO in Claude is mind blowing. I don't need anything else. I love SEO, for example. So
yeah, I mean, it makes it so easy. And we've actually recognized that to an extent. I can't say a lot about it yet. We are cooking something up from our end that will make Bunny a hell of a lot easier to apply to what would be AI deployment pipelines, right? So that's pretty much all I can say right now. But we have recognized it and realized, like, hey, we need to make sure that as a company ourselves, our product is where developers are going to be deploying. And so the easiest way to do this is put something together with how Bunny can effectively be spun up in front of those cloud instances, or actually host some of them themselves. But there's a few. I haven't been formally trained in the product, so I don't want to comment in too much detail. Plus, it also hasn't been released yet. But it's definitely something that even us on our side, we're looking at it going, we need to make sure we're in front of this. We need to make sure it's in the right direction, because if not, we're going to get left behind.
Got it. When we have a follow-up podcast a few months from now, we'll know all about it then.
Hey, sounds good. A few months, we shall see.
Few weeks, few months, it doesn't matter.
Few months, few weeks. Yeah, exactly.
I have a lot of things cooking also, so it will be cool to experiment and see what's going on.
Yeah,
I'm learning so much about CDN and Edge and Postgres and Supabase and Vercel World and Netlify World and Edge and
as a
Railway. I don't even new words to me. I'm so excited about all of this.
As an agency founder, that I guess from the research and podcasts that I've done and listened to, you've always traditionally offloaded a lot of this to the host, from my understanding. What did CDN mean to you before you got involved in that ecosystem? Was it just something that you knew a host had and needed for a performance standpoint? It was nice to have, but I didn't really understood what it did. Like, what did that perspective? I'm assuming the more exposure you got over time, obviously that opinion changed, but I am a little curious.
Yeah, in the first year or so, no idea what it was. Didn't even know what SMTP meant. Didn't even know it was important also. I was winging it, Now, like, if I see a website, if a hosting company offering, enterprise CDN, I said, pay the extra money, because you never know, traffic spikes, countries, customers, especially if it's a WooCommerce deal, website, or, something with thousands of pages or tens of thousands of pages. We did a website, I think it was about 12 or 15 months ago, where we moved somebody from Contentful to WordPress. 60,000 pages. Yeah.
Ooh,
and it powered by, if I'm not mistaken, WordPress.com's hosting, which also has CDN, etc. So, like, everybody, I know for a fact that the importance of CDN, and some hosting companies are now bundling in, enterprise CDN. Actually, the new hosting companies are always doing CDNs, because they obviously have to compete with the others, right? And they have to bundle it in. So I think it's going to become a standard for anybody who's truly serious about their hosting business, as per me, and
I mean,
I educate everybody about it.
It's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. It's always good to get a good perspective on it. I mean, I touch it every day, so I wouldn't just automatically assume everybody involved in WordPress would know what a CDN is. Obviously, having gone to a few WordCamps, that opinion changed very, very quickly. Particularly for me, from a good education standpoint, as a non-technical person myself, it was a good eye-opener to say, oh, wow, okay, even if CDN, at least from a core capability standpoint, is quite simple, it still requires a lot of learning curve to be able to understand the value to what it actually provides, right? Then on the flip side of that is that, funny enough, we do work with a lot, what I would say would be the new generation hosts that are coming in and saying, okay, we need to have CDN. Kinsta offers it. Rocket.net had so much success building the Edge and the Cloudflare Edge into their overall offering as a whole that we want to follow it. It's kind of become the market standard now. But a lot of
true.
the larger companies are only starting to follow this trend, which is interesting to see. I mean, there's a reason hosting.com probably went out and bought Ben's product and
Yep.
Ben's organization with
True.
Rocket as a whole, as an example. But we have had a good number of conversations with folks that are coming in and going, okay, how do I make this happen? Because typically with hosting, you never want to rock the boat, right? You never want to change things up too drastically in one go. But it looks like there's a bit of a shift now where it's becoming almost commonplace from what we see that hosts at some point in time will either need to get this involved as an upsell product or actually, better yet, bake it into the
Yeah.
offering for the value that they provide their customer. I mean, there's hosts now that traditionally have been like, we never need a CDN. We recommend to our customers to not even have a CDN in the mix because we're so performant and our hosting stack is so good. Yes, that makes sense. But now it looks like that it's because it's become so commonplace, they're even having to pivot away from that messaging to going, okay, now we have to bring a CDN into the mix.
Yeah, they can't fight that. They can't fight that. But anyways, we are coming over time over here, and I have to ask you just one final thing.
Sounds
One
good.
performance related web myth, if you would like to kill forever, in your words, maybe. Because everybody has their own, ideas and philosophies, for speed and CDNs, etc. Is there any pushback which you keep on seeing over and over again?
I see, particularly with a CDN conversation around, I only need a CDN for performance. Let's look at it this way. I'll expand the question scope a little bit if you don't mind. But in terms of the value that I get out of a CDN, sure, if you're a mom and pop shop, you particularly with a local audience of maybe a local bakery, right? They're only going to be serving local community customers on their website. They may or may not need a CDN for performance capabilities. Yes, I will agree with that fully. There's probably no benefits to having that file cached in Singapore when your audience is in greater Los Angeles area, right?
True.
But that's not the only value that the CDN adds, and a lot of people forget about the security side of things. Even without having a web application firewall built into the offering, a bot management solution built in, and so on, the pure nature of putting a network that has hundreds of terabits per second in front of your website automatically means that in the low chance you are going to you get DDoSed, you're going to stay up. And so there's always an additional security value add to that conversation that often gets forgotten because hosts are so typically focused on talking about their own internal stack when it comes to the security profile that they offer to their customers, rather than the actual value add that the CDN brings from maintaining uptime realistically at the end of the day, right? So that's the myth that I would probably want to bust.
I agree. I'm with you on the same. 100%. 100% aligned on the same. On that note, we'll end the show, Graeme. It was great hosting you today. And I think we can go on for long and long because I have so many other things we can discuss. But you know what? We should leave something for the next episode also. In fact, I'm actually going to be hosting a panel very soon about performance and speed and CDNs and stuff. So you're coming on that. So more on that soon. Stay tuned. Thank you so much.
All right. Sounds good.